Girl is finally up to date. She was breaking her life trying to get out these videos and be on time. I feeling great. I am sleep deprived, obviously. Hi, I'm Danny and welcome to my dark desk. Take a sippy-sippy, puffy-puffy because we are here to talk about 90 Day Fiance, Season 12, Episode 7. Let's start with all the nothing burgers. Mallory and Raşit wake up the next day after the white trash party or the redneck party. I forgot the name of the party. Anyhow, they wake up, they're talking about their puppy Opal and how Raşit came home drunk. So in the interview, she's talking about how Raşit got white girl wasted and he was funny trying to say white girl wasted. So he's hungover and he wants Turkish food. Their quotables are so cute. He's like, when you eat hot, your butthole cries hot pain. So he says something about he wants Turkish food, but when you eat Turkish food, your butt cries. And she's like, I don't understand what you're saying. I'm like, yeah, if you eat spicy food, if it's too spicy, your whole digestive tract from the entrance to the exit is going to feel the burn. That's what he said. So they talk about the conversation he had with Brandon and he's kind of mocking him and she's joining along until the point where he's like, I don't want you talking to him. She's just like, oh no, I am best friends with people he's best friends with. He's always going to be in our life. You have to work your own stuff. I can't help you there, bro. And he's like really upset. Well, I don't want to look at your face. And she's like, well, then turn around. Pink flags, red flags, but they're so fucking cute. I want them to work it out. Like, I hope they figure out a way. I hope he gets past this whole, I don't want my woman talking to this dude she had sex with. I hope he gets past it. And I hope Mallory gets past that Raşit picked her, an American woman. He doesn't want a Turkish woman, he wants you. So we shouldn't even be saying that. Let's get to Tom and Paula. Thomas is troubling. Eventually in an interview they identify that he is very sensitive and I caught it. I could tell a sensitive soul, but he's also a big fucking baby. I think he probably is attracted to older women because he wants somebody to mother him. And I don't know if Paula has children. I got the feeling that she does because eventually she's like, well, we were making plans to have a family together. I'm like, girl, you want a family at 41? Do you really want a family at 40? You want to start now? Or are you starting again? Like, what? Okay. But anyhow, they get into the car and she says, oh, I wish, sometimes you open the door for me just once or twice. And he's like, well, I would open the door for you if you didn't want to drive. And I was really confused by that, what he said. I was just like, wait, what? Okay? What do you mean? And it took me a minute to realize that he never wants her to drive. That is a red flag. I'm not gonna say why I know that's a red flag. Just know that I have lived experience where the person I was with refused to let me drive. Tom is a control freak. And any man who won't let you drive every so often is a control freak. But she probably doesn't even have a license, so it's probably illegal for her to drive. So it makes sense. But I have a feeling Tom's a control freak. And she also said that Paul has witnessed him around other people wearing perfume and he does not complain about his sinuses or his allergies. And she says it's about control. And I am prone to believe her. She knows who she's dealing with. Not only Tom's controlling, he acts like a little baby and he expects her to cater to his needs and attune with him in a way that a mother would attune with a son. That's what he expects from his wife, his partner, his whatever. But anyhow, they go on this hike and he apologizes, but his apology is bullshit because I get the feeling that he apologized just for her to give him an apology. Oh, I forgot to mention in the last video, he glued her perfume bottle shut. And she just kind of stood there and let him do it. And I'm like, what? If someone tried to destroy my property, I'm gonna punch him in the head. DV be damned. Don't touch and break my shit. I paid for it. It's mine. Don't destroy it. The fact that she stood there and let him do it shows to me that Paula is a kind woman. She's a soft-hearted woman. She understands the neuroses that she's dealing with and she's choosing it. But girl, you could do much better. And while she's trying to explain how his behavior makes her feel, he cuts her off and makes it about him. He is so childish. When they get out in the hike, he apologizes for how he acted in the car and he's like, and then he starts talking about his allergies, but she stands up for herself. I didn't take notes on the details of their conversations because I watched this episode twice. He's annoying. He's a baby and she is going to spend their partnership mothering him. And if that gets her off, if she likes it, I love it. Anyhow, he says, after 2 days, I realized, I'm being a little hard on you. She's like, yeah, you wanted to send me back after 2 days. And she's like, we need to find a a middle ground for this to work. And ultimately she's like, if we don't find a middle ground, this won't work. I'll just go back to Brazil. So fast forward, he's stretching and he's using the Portuguese accent to ask for a kiss. She is in the closet rearranging her things and she asks for more hangers. And then she says, I want a dresser. And he's just like, you don't need a dresser. And she's like, I can't hang up my underwear and my socks. And he's like, he gives her a bucket. And he's like, when this is full, we will talk about a dresser. But he wants everything as it is without accommodating her in any capacity. He doesn't want her to decorate. He doesn't want her to buy anything. He doesn't want her to buy anything. But then he gives her a credit card with $25,000 limit on it. What the fuck are you doing? Now that's stupid. And honestly, I want her to charge this shit out of your card and then leave you. You deserve it. If you get anything from this video, never share credit with anybody. Even if you're married, don't do it. He could have gotten her a debit card and put like $500 on it. So that way, when she tries to do too much, it stops. You're making ridiculous financial decisions, but I have the feeling that if she starts overcharging his card, he's going to use it to guilt her because he's a child. Childish men have the tendency to try to control women with money, with, oh, feel bad for me. Oh, you're making me sick. Oh, cater to me, nurture me. That was your mother's job. You're grown now. When he says he doesn't really want to give her a dresser, she's just like, I don't even know if I want to be married to this guy. And I'm like, yes, that's the answer. Don't marry him. You got the wrong gringo. And that's how their situation ended. Unlike Tom, save yourself, Paula. So who is the other nothing burger we got? Anabelle and Shea. They opened their scene up with Johnny Cash. 90 Day paid for a Johnny Cash song? Jesus, they're making that guap. So when she comes in the house, Shay's like, do you feel better? Are you still mad at me? That's all he cares about. Are you still mad at me? Are you gonna act normal? She's like, I'm not mad at you. Angie said that y'all didn't do anything, and I believe her. And maybe not, because Angie is a beautiful woman. She could do better. There are really handsome men in the South her age. Maybe they didn't sleep together, but the glee that Angie and Allison had listening to Annabelle talk about what Shay has been doing behind her back gives me pause. Maybe she finds it entertaining. Maybe she just enjoys gossip. Either or, Annabelle believes her, and she says we still have the problem of Nicole. And in the interview, Annabelle says, oh boy, Shay has to be on his best behavior or she's going to leave. And she turns and looks at him and says, I'm the boss. I'm the boss. He's like, oh, you're the boss. You're the boss. You could tell he's saying it, but he doesn't believe it. She's like, I am the boss. Super dumb energy. You're going to experience that she is the boss. Annabelle is a dom. So he says that he wants to go out with the boys. There's a football game. They're gonna have beers and she's gonna hang out while he drinks and watches football. And she's like, oh no, we're not doing that. I'm tired. He's like, what do you mean we're not doing that? She's like, no, we're gonna sit in this house, drink some herbal tea. We're gonna do yoga. And he's just like, well, I really want to go to the, she's like, no, we're gonna sit down. We're gonna have herbal tea. You're gonna like it. And we're gonna do yoga. That will make me happy. And don't you know that big old man sat his... They had their tea and then she was stretching him out, and then at the end of it she just gets up and walks off, and he's just like, oh, I'm gonna have trouble getting off the floor. She just walks away. I tell you, she's a dom. All right, the next couple is Marissa and Edward. Before her family arrives, Marissa is coaching Edward how to be the less excitable but family approved Edward, which means no big expression and no overt affection. I'm like, he's Dominican. That's their culture. Even if they don't like you, they'll hug you up. They're very expressive. That makes me miss New York. So Edward is trying to calm her down and say, hey, you know, it's not that big a deal. She's like, it's a big deal to me. Ding dong, they arrive. First it's her mom. Mom is snatched. Mom looks maybe 55. Mom looks good. She's married to a dude named Bob. Anywho, they walk in and all the family comes in. So it's Marissa's mom and her husband Bob, Marissa's aunt and uncle, and Marissa's cousin and her boyfriend all having like a lunch. And they're not sitting down to lunch. It's like all the spread is out and they're gonna just stand around the table and mingle and talk. Edward is charming. He's making jokes but not too loud. And also, he didn't know that Marissa was Italian. What? He's like, oh, all of you are Italian except for Bob. And Edward jokes, oh, are you Dominican? Your brother from another mother? Anyhow, while they're talking to him, Edward sits down, takes the chair, and Marissa's standing next to him, and Marissa has to tell him to get out of the chair. She is fixated on how people are going to perceive Edward, and this is not going to work because he's never going to to perform the way you want him to perform. He's never going to be, you want him to act like he's white American, but he's not. So stop forcing him. Another thing, when he proposed to her, he didn't get down on one knee. That's what she wanted, but she accepted his proposal anyway. If you have these expectations of a relationship and the person you're picking and choosing to be with doesn't perform that way, you're going to make your relationship miserable because your expectations will have you fucked. You either accept the person that's in front of you as they are, or you hold on to these unrealistic dream fairy tale fantasies. Why don't you mitigate that by choosing somebody who would know these things, or accepting the fact that you're with somebody who doesn't? Either or. So Marissa's trying to regale a story about how Edward and Cole are like bonding, and mom cuts that short saying, no. Right now, the children don't understand that their world is about to be changed for good. And so of course they're acting very happy-go-lucky right now. But once they realize that their life has changed, there's gonna be a different story. So Marissa's mom is concerned about the age difference, the culture difference, and how he plans to make money in America. And she doesn't see it for any of this. She doesn't approve. She told Marissa that. And Edward, she asked Edward a really good question. What do you see in my daughter? What makes her special to you that you want to marry her? And he says he wants honesty, respect, and loyalty. And he sees all of those things in Marissa. Nothing about her character. He just mentioned what Marissa gives to him. And so Marissa is listening to the answer. She's like, I wouldn't have led with that. It makes her anxious because he sounds macho. She's concerned that they are not going to see what she sees in him. And they're not supposed to, baby. They are supposed to respect your decision because you've grown. And that's it. They're not supposed to see the exact same thing you see in him. You're trying to have sex with them. They're not. Anyhow, the mom is, she a bad bitch. She's like, I'm not worried about my daughter. I raised her strong. And you know, relationships begin, relationships end. I was just like, no wonder Marissa's anxious. Mom finishes up with, let God's will be done. I was just like, good God, this bitch is tough. This bitch is tough. She's as tough as the meat in Nigeria, according to Ashia's mom. So let's go to Ashia and Maxwell. They are leaving from the Nigerian airport. They're in the car driving back to the house. They rented out a property so that way everybody could come together. Maxwell, his parents, his sisters, his nieces and nephews, Ashia and her mom can all come together, get to know each other as a family. So in the interview, he calls her a damsel, and I'm like, oh, you a little poet, aren't you, Maxwell? But in that moment, he did kind of give me scammy vibes. I'm like, damsel, you almost got me there. He is talking about like, you gotta wear a sweater when you meet my parents. And she's just like, I will when I get out of this car. And he's like, oh, don't let me like teach you how to present yourself in front of my family. And she's like, well, he wants me to dress sexy, but he wants me to cover up for his family. And he says, I only want you to be sexy for me. You cover up it with everywhere else. And she's like, I have to be all these things and deal with this heat. Go scratch. So she comes in the house. She calls his parents mommy and daddy. They give her something that represents life and abundance. It's spicy. It's a blessing of some sort. And they call it medicine. The mother in her interview says that she is going to take time to observe the situation because, you know, fools fall in love and love makes you act foolish. And she thinks that's what's happening here. She thinks Maxwell is being a fool for Ashia. So Ashia takes a tour with Maxwell around the house, and Maxwell's like, oh, family doesn't want me to stay in the same room with you. Ashia's like, yeah, no, we're not married. We're not doing that. And he's just like, oh, you don't want me to stay in the room with you? She's like, no, because it's all about presentation. But you know they've been banging. One of the sisters, her name is Blaze. I love that name. Is that her real name? Ashia calls Blaze a private investigator, and old girl scrolled through her entire Facebook and she told Maxwell that, and Maxwell told Ashia, and she was just like, I would never do that. I mean, even if I did do that, I would never admit it. I'm like, but I appreciate Blaze. Blaze is very upfront. She says, Maxwell is the first son and I'm going to protect that because apparently in Nigeria, culturally, the firstborn son is a big deal. They sit down to have dinner and Ashia observes that Maxwell is being more quiet. Yeah, they're trying to teach Ashia's mother how to eat Nigerian food. And in the interview, Ashia's mom's like, I do not like Nigerian food. The meat's too tough. If it was a little tender, I would like it more. I'm like, and they talk about the division between men and women. Men don't go in the kitchen. And they ask Ashia if she knows how to cook. She's like, yeah, I know how to cook enough. She's not making a good impression. They ask her how many children does she want to have with Maxwell. She says 2, and Maxwell's mom is like, that's unacceptable. She says that outright. She just says it like, no, that's not acceptable. And the dad, Maxwell's dad, is like, well, how about 4? I like 4. And Ashia turns and looks at him and she says, well, we're gonna have what God wants us to have. How about that? She says, how about that to that man's father? Ashia is disrespectful. You could say, well, you know what, if it's God's will for me to have 4 kids, kids, we'll have 4 kids. You gotta pretend, baby. You have to make a good impression. Like, what the She doesn't care. Maxwell's family says they're concerned about American women because they're known not to be submissive. And Ashia says she shouldn't have to hold back her opinions because she has Maxwell's best intentions in mind. It doesn't matter that she's a woman or not. And she uses the example of the chemical peel. And Maxwell also agrees. He shows his sister Blaze a before and after of the chemical peel. And then he also says, well, she's trying to change my hairline. She's trying to change my eyeballs. They're not like eyeballs. And Ashia goes and describes like the white of his eyes are more yellow because of sun damage. And Blaze is just like, that's how we are in Nigeria. Look at my eyes. They're yellow too. Look at all of our eyes. And Ashia's like, oh, no. That's sun damage. And Blaze is like, what else are you gonna try to change about my brother? And she's like, oh, no. Ashia's like, we're good. But in the interview, Ashia's just like, he's grown. Let him go. She is still trying to build a bear. I'm sorry. She's still trying to build a man. I can't imagine how it is for his self-esteem to have this woman with this terrible wig tell him about himself, all the things he wants to change. If he turned around and did that to her, how would y'all feel? It's not right. And I feel bad for him to a certain extent. I do think he's scamming her, and that's why he's willing to do anything and everything that she says just so that he could get to America. Let's go to Debby and Mido. We pick up where the episode 6 left off. Mido is standing outside the bar that they were supposed to go to, and the producer asks him then what happened in the car, and he's just like, she came in crying, saying she's frustrated, and he says, I don't understand why she was frustrated. I left everything behind. Like, what is your problem? And on the sidelines, Astra and I think the Rockford Peach is Laura, they are talking shit. Astra is calling him a motherfucker and she's also worried about how he treats her in private. Laura, the Rockford Peach, says she doesn't know if this wedding's gonna happen. They both pretty much say that Debby doesn't deserve this heartache, but thank God it has come now. The producers ask Mido what is the plan. He's like, I'm going home. There's no way I could stay with her. Cut to Debby in the bed talking to the producers, saying she had a bad day and had a mini meltdown, and she says Mido has no compassion for her. He always talks about himself over her, and he's very dismissive of her feelings. And she's tired of him threatening to leave every few days. Meanwhile, as she's talking, he's climbing up the stairs, situating himself on the fucking couch, and he tells the producers in the living room that he is offended that she questions his virginity just because he took a bunch of pictures with this baddie in Egypt. I still don't believe he's a virgin though. I know I'm a horrible person, but the way he was talking about I'm a sexy man and trying to see midnight ballerinas when Debby's asleep, all that stuff when they were walking on Bourbon Street, I've never seen a virgin act like that. But then again, it's been a very long time since I've been around a virgin. He was checking flights on his phone, but then he puts his phone away and he says, you know, I'm very, very tired. Debby says she can't take the name calling. The next day, we don't see them interact. Debby says she doesn't know what Mido's going to do, but Astra has reached out to her, asked her if she's okay. She's going to meet up with Astra. This is 59 days before the wedding. So 31 days has passed since Mido's arrival, and this is what happens when they're together, when he meets her friends for the first time. Like, but she doesn't know what she's going to do next. The last thing we hear from Mido is that he's feeling so-so. Next scene is Debby meeting up with Astra, and when she's driving to meet Astra, she says that she expects Astra to tell her to run. Okay, the reason why I'm so upset for Debby is because, to me, this is a woman who doesn't know her worth. This is a woman with low self-esteem. This woman has been beaten down, maybe by Mido, maybe by her previous exes. She remembers being in a marriage and feeling alone, and she doesn't want to walk alone again. And the thing is, people come and go. That's the nature of the game, and the biggest love that you will ever have is the love you have for yourself, how you care for yourself. Trying to seek happiness through other people is never going to work, and you're always going to feel alone because people are going to disappoint you. People are going to put their needs before yours. So you have to make sure you protect yourself. You have to make sure you love on yourself, care for yourself, enjoy your own company, so that way you don't accept the Midos and your ex-husbands treating you like shit. The answer's right there. So Debby and Astra sit down, and Astra's like, the whole haunted house thing was weird. It was like he was auditioning to be an actor in the haunted house. Astra says his behavior is unacceptable. Astra starts to call him a clown, and then Debby tells her to calm down. Once Debby told Astra to calm down, Astra should have known what time it was. she was gonna stay with him. All this is setting us up, preparing us, the audience and her friend, for Debby to stay with Mido. She's not kicking him out. She keeps saying she doesn't know what to do. Astra asks her, do you think Mido loves you? And Debbie's like, she hesitates because Debby knows Mido doesn't love her, but she's just like, after last night, I mean, I don't know. She's saying after last night, but then Astra points out, like, has he talked to you like this in private? Like, I'm worried because if he did this in public in front of us and he just met us, what is he saying in private? And Debby, you skirts that answer. You notice she didn't address that. She's like, oh, don't worry about me. I'm not saying he put hands on her, but emotionally and verbally he's abusive. You can't tell me different. Towards the end of their scenes in the interview, Debby says Mido doesn't show her his love or care of her, and I'm like, what are you doing? Debby says she doesn't know what she's gonna do. She's said that the entire episode. She doesn't know what she's gonna do, and Astra says I would send him packing. But yeah, so that's Debby and Mido. Let's get to the meat. I'm gonna be real with you. Debby and Mido is triggering for me personally, given what I've survived, but Catie and Josh is kind of funny. I know. I'm a horrible person. Our opening scene, they're settling their home. Josh got a desk and a chair, and he's sitting on it. He's like, oh, this is not bad. This is comfortable. Josh is smiling, and Catie is not. She's looking at the back of this man's head like she can't stand him. And she says that she doesn't really like living with anybody. And he jokes, is like, well, I guess I should pack up and go back to England. And he says, like, well, I think things are getting better between us. And she's just like, I don't think things are getting better, and we don't see eye to eye, and we're not communicating well. Katie's miserable, Josh is happy. You know what it's like? It's like Josh set up a bird feeder. Around the bird feeder is a cage, and Catie, being the free bird that she is, she was like, oh, food! Flies in, pecking away, and Josh slowly closes the cage door on bird Catie. And Catie, instead of pecking and fighting to fly the fuck out of said cage, she just sits there and lets him close the cage on her. And that's what it's like. Josh is the cage. She just thought she was getting some bird feed. My metaphor's fucked. But my point is, Josh represents all the things she doesn't want to do right now. Catie says she's stressed out and she's uncomfortable. And Josh says it's really hard for me because I left my home, I left everything I know behind, and it's adjustment. It's hard being in America as an immigrant right now. It's a precarious situation. I can't work and I can't go back home for a year. It's very difficult for me. And she's just like, well, I moved to Europe and it wasn't a big deal. And he's just like, you went on holiday, you were on vacation, you were living breezy. I'm trying to establish a life here. You were just hanging out. You knew you were always going to come back home. And she's just like, I still don't think it's a big deal. In the interview, he says sometimes you say things that are really hurtful. He understands it's a cultural thing. You know, she's an American and this is how Americans communicate. Josh, this is not how Americans communicate. He wishes that she would recognize how he feels is his culture. And she's like, well, we're in America. This is categorically a compatibility issue because the things that are important to Josh aren't important to Catie. Anybody who tells you your feelings are too much or you're too sensitive, get rid of them now because they don't give a fuck about you. No, I shouldn't say that. But y'all incompatible. She changes the subject to her birthday party, and eventually she sits down and tells Josh, hey, guess what? I invited Ryan to the party. And he's just like, oh. And we hear that they met while she was running the Chicago Marathon, and they decided to do the Berlin Marathon together. And she was with Josh when they did the Berlin Marathon together. And apparently at an Oktoberfest, Catie and Ryan got super drunk and made out while Josh was there. And Josh caught them making out. Now, Catie swears up and down that they didn't have sex. And they also went on a road trip together after the Oktoberfest incident. They went on a road trip together after her boyfriend caught them kissing. I can only feel bad for you to a certain extent, Josh. What the fuck? Josh laid down an ultimatum, and I'm gonna tell you this, ultimatums are bullshit. They don't work. You can't make somebody choose you. So saying you either want this relationship or you want to be friends with Ryan, well, guess what? Bitch picked both. Because as much as Catie is with Josh, she invites Ryan. And Josh sent Ryan like a see you never text. And then Catie turns around and then, first off, she hasn't cut him off at all. She turns around and invites Ryan to her birthday party. She doesn't respect you, bro. If they have a habit of not thinking about you, only thinking about themselves, that habit is not going to change. In the conversation with Catie, he says he feels shitty that she would invite Ryan to her birthday party, but it's her birthday, he's gonna support her. And Catie just cares about, like, I don't want a big deal, I don't want drama at my birthday. All she cares about is having fun at her birthday. She does not care that Josh feels shitty about the fact that you are still having this man around. Now, despite the fact that Catie has made out with her whole friend group, Josh feels particularly about Ryan. There's a reason why Josh feels particularly about Ryan. He says he's dramatic, he says he's toxic, and in the car heading towards the birthday, Josh is like, why do you want Ryan in your life? And she says, oh, Ryan's fun, and if I were to call him at midnight crying, I know he would answer. In the car, she reads the text that her and Ryan have shared. They're not gonna have tequila at the party. They're gonna go for a run later on this week. I'm like, so Josh is asking all the questions. He asked Caitie, like, how would you feel if I was doing the same thing with a friend of mine? And Caitie says, I would feel jealous and I would ask why you need this person in your life. But that's not happening now, so I can't sympathize with what you want. So in other words, she completely understands why Josh is unhappy with her friendship with Ryan, and she would act the same fucking way, but she's still not willing to like get rid of him. She's waiting for you to dump her. Can we just talk about it? She's too cowardly to break up with Josh, so she's gonna do all the things to embarrass, to humiliate, to debase this motherfucker, to dismiss him so that he leaves her because she doesn't want to be in this relationship. There's nothing about her behavior that says she wants to preserve their relationship. Anyhow, Caitie says her and Ryan have a competition to kiss as many people as possible, and Josh turns and looks at her as like, are you trying to get me to break up with you? Bingo, buddy. So at the event, we see Mark, who she made out with before, and she tells Josh not to lose her phone. She says she's so stressed, and Josh says, me too. The guys in Portland that she's made out with look like Ryan. Josh is the outlier. Josh doesn't look anything like the other guys that we've seen her make out with. In Ryan's interview, he says Caitie's creates the most interesting opportunities and situations, and he says she's his most fun friend. Ryan likes the fact that Caitie is crazy, and Caitie admits that she misses the party life and that she thinks Josh calms her down, but then she realized she isn't calm. At the end of the episode, Caitie pulls Josh and Ryan for a chat, and the first thing Josh says is, why are you here? And Ryan says, oh, I thought it would be a good time, and I'm pretty sure Caitie knows what she wants from her life. And then that's how the episode ends. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do as you deem fit. Remember to keep your sippy-sippies, puffy-puffies, whatever you need to cope close, but your instincts even closer, and I'll be sure to catch you on the flips. Bye. Yay, ow, yeah, 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 yeah. That butt. Do you remember doing the butt? Oh, sex. Were they talking about anal sex? Oh my god.